After returning from a weekend fishing trip with friends and hearing them boast about their fish, Jim began to reflect that he had not had the success the others did. The few fish he had caught were very small. He wondered what he had done wrong. He really didn't know, so he reached out to his friend Bob, a wise sage when it comes to fishing. Bob started by asking Jim some simple questions. What do you think is a successful fishing trip? What kinds of fish do you want to catch? Big fish, small fish, different kinds of fish, or do you just want to catch a lot? Where do you think they might be? Jim spent some time thinking about these questions. He thought more about his previous fishing trips, both good and bad moments, and paid closer attention to what other fishermen were doing. From this, he realized that, for him, it wasn't about getting a ton of fish or the size of the fish. It was about wanting something different. He wanted to set a new trend for his buddies. Jim identified some opportunities, which gave him a few initial ideas. Armed with this clarity, Jim was ready to start figuring out what he was going to do. Jim decided that to find the type of fish he wanted, he would start by looking at what different fishermen like him were going after. What were they getting? But he also thought it was important to look at different locations. So what were people catching in different ponds or lakes? Keeping in mind what he wanted, Jim started looking at places. He found places where there were a lot of fishermen, so he thought he would stay away from there. Some locations didn't have a lot of fishermen, but the types of fish there didn't seem to fit what he was interested in. And he also found some locations with only highly professional fishermen present, which he felt he was not ready for yet. But he did find some specific places where he felt like there would be types of fish he wanted and could get. So Jim sat down with Bob again with his plan to go fishing right away. Bob cautioned him that more work was needed before going to some of these places. These were locations he had never visited. Jim now focused his time on these locations. He watched different fishermen fish, talked to them, and looked at relevant online reviews and comments. From this, he better understood the level of complexity and potential behind each of the spots he was considering. Now Jim knew where to go and the types of fish he could catch there. Energized, Jim went back to his friend Bob. Bob felt great about what Jim had done, but there are a few different types of fish that Jim could catch in that location, and each likely required a unique approach. Jim was slightly disheartened but understood, so he spent some time researching. What kinds of bait did the fish like? Did they even like bait at all? What else attracted them? Was it best to fish with a pole, or could you use another technique? Jim took a day to think through this. He even went to talk to some fishing expert in a local store. He also decided he would be most successful with a couple of those types of fish, for some didn't fit with what he wanted and others didn't match his skill set just yet. Jim realized that it was smart to put a plan together first. It's what Bob would ask him to do anyways. Jim sat down, thought about what he needed to succeed, and started creating a plan. In it, he wrote down the types of fish he had decided to go after, what he learned about them, and what was required to catch the fish in this place. Jim also turned his attention to some final details like, when is the best season to catch these fish? Time of day? Do I need a boat? What type? He headed back to show Bob. Bob was amazed. Jim had really thought through what he was going to do. Jim's excitement was now through the roof. He was ready to go. Jim was already daydreaming about his success and his buddy's face when he showed them what he caught.